Hey guys, we take here at Blueberry Hill. So this is January 30th. I haven't been making too many videos because I haven't been doing a whole lot of stuff on the house, but you saw me make my new miter table. It's right over there. We'll be using that to trim down our pickets that are going to be the ceiling on our game room overhang. So we've got 8-foot, 5.5 by 8-foot pickets. I couldn't find them affordably without the dog ears, so we're going to cut the dog ears off. Angie's going to come out and help me do that in a little bit. Then we're going to seal the wood, and then we're going to start installing it. We're going to screw first strips on the C-channels underneath the bottom of the container, and that's so we can nail the pickets onto the bottom. We'll also put R30 insulation, fiberglass insulation in between the rafters, and that should get us going pretty good up there. That's one of the last bigger projects that I have to do. The rest are kind of small. In a few months, when the weather is kind of more consistent, it's been really cold and not really warm over the last few weeks, so I can't really do spray foam or commit to the spray foam because the surfaces are too cold, and the reaction of the foam will be killed off a little bit. So I'm going to wait on that. Not a big rush, but it would have been nice if we had insulated floors during the cold spell we had a few weeks ago. Anyway, let's flip over to time lapse and we'll show you how we're playing with the pickets. So we're going to start cutting down the ears off the fence pickets. They all come this way. Not sure why, but anyway, we got these from Home Depot. They're 5.5 inch wide by 8 foot, and I wanted the longer ones just because it's less work to put them up on the ceiling. Anyway, I had to cut all the ears off. I did try to price boards at a cedar supply place. They were almost $10 a hit. These are from Home Depot. They're $460 something or around there. But regardless, and then if I wanted normal planks, which didn't have the dog ears, it was even more money. So I didn't bother with that. This should be good enough. They're not, the most beautiful pieces. They have a lot of character, I'd say, and they're very rough cut. So we cut the ears off, and then I'm gonna do a real super light sand with my little bench sander. It's a belt sander, oscillating, and it just takes off the rough stuff. So nothing crazy, but just enough to make it smoother. So as you can see, it's kind of a rinse and repeat process. We had, I think, 94 of these pickets. We ended up not scrapping, but 4 or 5 of them were not in very good shape. I'm not even sure why we piled them up and bought them, but we'll take them back. But regardless, we're prepping all of them. And regardless of how many we actually prep, you'll see that in a little bit when we do the ceiling. I have probably about 20 left over, so my area calculation was not correct. But it's supposed to be 27 feet by 8, and for some reason I ended up with 20 extra boards. But anyway, we got them. We'll use them for something. But here we are, rinse and repeat, and just to get the job done. So we finished manipulating all the pickets. So they're all semi-sanded. We didn't want to do a smooth job. We just did kind of a rough fence, smoother than a fence would be. We're going to use this stuff to seal it, and hopefully that'll keep the color. I love the red cedar look. I'm not too fond of the gray, so we'll see how this works out, but hopefully it'll stay. Usually when there's no UV, it might be just fine. But anyway, we're going to switch to time lapse and finish this up. So I applied the sealer with a foam roller. Went on pretty quick. Actually, they claim there's no streaks or runs or anything with this stuff. It works pretty good. Anyway, did a nice solid job. So I started prepping the overhang. So you can see the container, the C-channels on the bottom of the container. I'm going to prep them first with, I installed the ceiling fan mounts first, and then I'm going to do the first strips. They're 1x2 first strips. We just got them from Home Depot. I used clamps to hold them up there, and then I shoved they're wood to metal screws. They work extremely well. They do a nice job cutting into the metal. No harm, no foul. I didn't have to pre-drill or anything, so they work pretty nice. Anyway, I was pretty surprised. This is fun work because you're drilling upwards the whole time. There's 24 of these things. Took a little while, but yeah, the drill gets heavy after a bit. So anywho, you have to put a little bit of pressure on those screws to get them through the metal. So that's the fun part. But anyway, not a big deal. 24 first strips, a bunch of screws, and then we're ready for the next phase, which is insulation and then the pickets themselves. Yeah, before we do the insulation, I finish up the electrical work. This was roughed in for quite a while ago. I did have a day delay. I had to get the boxes for this, for the put on the wall, etc. And then I wrapped them in actually black vinyl, matte black vinyl. Normally I paint those, but I didn't feel like doing that, so pretty easy job. Anyway, just run some wire through there, get it ready. Very simple install, and we have basically 2 sets of ceiling fans out there with lights. Here's the wiring for the second ceiling fan. Same process. I had these wires sticking out of the wall for, I'd say, about 2 years now. Then when the metal guys finished the outside wrap, I could have done this a lot sooner, but regardless, we're doing it now. I was gonna spray foam the ceiling, but the weather's just not conducive to that. It's a little bit too chilly. The surface is too cold for the foam to react properly, and I didn't want to take the chance of messing it up. Actually, just use more foam. So we're going to use fiberglass insulation. You'll see that in a bit. Anyway, pretty easy. I use those Wagos. I love using those 20 amp Wagos. You just snap on the wire and off you go. If you saw other portions of the build, I use Wagos. They're clipped on connectors for the electrical. They're very solid connection, work very well, and they're all 20 amp gauged. So here we go with the picket install. So I did a couple of pickets, put them up there thinking I needed to do that before I put the insulation up. So we're going to hang insulation between the C-channels and see if that works. I'm going to put a first strip up thinking I needed it as well, because I thought the fiberglass would actually fall out of the recess, and it turns out it actually stuck in there pretty good without doing all that. So Angie and I ended up basically just cutting all of the fiberglass to the proper length. It's rolled fiberglass, and just installing the whole ceiling, and then we did the pickets. It turned out pretty good. So here's my little test hit, and it just stuck up there. So we decided to not bother with putting the pickets on either side, or that little first strip as a cheater. So worked out pretty good. Angie's going to come here and help me in a minute, and there you see me take the first strip down, and just keep installing. So to cut the, this is rolled fiberglass mat. That's R30, 15 inches wide, and it's supposed to be like 10 inches deep. But anyway, I'm using a knife that's used for making plenums for AC ducts, and it worked really good for cutting this stuff. You can use an X-Acto as well, but it's a little more of a pain because it's not as long knife. So Angie came to help. She was doing all the cutting of the fiberglass mat, and I was shoving it up there. The mat, it didn't seem like it was powdering out too much. You know, fiberglass insulation gets really itchy, and it sure did. Not so much on my arms, but my face. I probably should have had a mask on or safety glasses or something, but anyway, I ended up washing my face in the pool several times because it got really itchy, and it continued to bother me like a day or two later. So anyway, not a big deal though. We made it through. Angie was good at cutting everything. We basically shoved as much as we could in there. The opening is only like 7.5 inches deep, I believe, and this insulation is supposed to be good for 10.5 inch thickness. But regardless, I went for the R30 just because bigger is better. That's not how I always do everything, and it worked pretty good. I did shoot the floor up there in the game room the next day to see if it was actually working, and it sure did. Typically the floor was 10 to 15 degrees cooler than the walls or the insulated portion of the house, so that made a huge difference. We've been going through somewhat of a little cold front this past month, and so doing this would have been nice to do it earlier, but hey, it's getting done now, so we're happy. Anyway, didn't take too long. Just a messy little pattery job. Again, I guess, you know, follow the safety protocol on fiberglass installation. You should probably have long sleeves, long pants, maybe even head covering, and something on your face. Go figure. Alright, so now we finished up the installation, so it's time for the pickets. This was actually fairly easy. I just wanted to stagger the stuff. I could have made more of a game plan to stagger it in a more logical manner, but I just did whatever. Put them up. They were mostly straight. Some of the pickets were, you know, tweaked a little bit to one side, so we had to do a little persuasion on them. Here I'm trying to figure out what to do, I think. But anyway, for the most part they were straight, and of course it's kind of a rustic look, so it's not perfect by any means. The wood is not. If I was concerned about that, I should have planed each side and you know, the edges so that everything would line up perfectly. Not a big deal. Anyway, this just took a few hours to bang up there. It went pretty quick with the nail gun. and pretty happy with the results. So I'm continuing the whole thing. We just start with the outside. You can see me, I'm lining everything up with the outside of the container. Once we put this one in, the rest of it just kind of banged up. We just followed the rest of the offsets and put in as many boards as we could. This took me just a couple hours. We didn't do the whole thing in one day. We did come back the next day and actually finish it up. And then I had to do one little small trim piece the third day, and then we were done. And then I went to install the ceiling fans, and you'll see that in a little bit. Anyway, fun job, fairly easy with the brad nailer, 16 gauge, so you don't really see the nails, but they're solid enough to be in there. Worked pretty good. So having helping hands, that's always a good thing. Angie was handing me the boards while I was nailing them up there. And still, the boards are long enough where it would have been nice to have one of these step ladders where I could actually stand on it, and it's a couple feet off the ground. Because we have to keep moving the ladder back and forth, so I can nail one side of the board and then move it and then nail the other. So, you know, a little extra to do, but not a big deal. This is, again, fairly straightforward job. Very easy to just hold things up there and nail them. Sometimes I used the clamp, sometimes I didn't, and off we went. Anyway, but we finished it up, and I think it looks fantastic. I love the color, so I hope you guys agree as well. But anyway, there we go. We did a little zing with the buzzsaw. I had a couple of boards that I put a little bit too tight there, and because I can't see both ends of it, right? So when I nail them and it's tight, I just use a little oscillating saw to cut the extra off, and in it goes. So to seal things up, I actually use some spray foam, closed cell spray foam. It's great stuff, tough stuff, whatever it's called. Works pretty good, expands pretty good. This is the one that's doesn't expand hugely. This is the one that's nice and tight. It's very firm. So I use this, let it expand, let it dry, and then I cut off the excess and install the edging material, banding. Here I'm painting the. I have a matte black that basically everything's painted on the bottom side of the containers. So I'm painting this just in case you see it around the header I'm going to install the trim. And I did basically 2 coats on this, and then everything was good. So now I'm using an oscillating saw to cut off the excess foam. It's already rigid. It didn't take too long for it to seal up. It's a little chilly still today, so it's not totally solid yet on too far in, but on the outside it let me cut it off. You can see those little pieces of wood that are stuck to the C-channel there. Those are just spacers, so that when I'm installing this, it doesn't fall in. It stays nice and flat. And it's quite a few brad nails in there. Everything's nice and tight. Should work just fine. And then I come back with a second piece of wood that's, I'll call it like a shingle, to help the water shed and make it all kind of uniform look. And I think it came out pretty good. I love the colors together, the blue, black, and the cedar color. It's very rustic, very warm, and me likey. So I found a little bit of detail here. So this the metal work didn't quite go far enough underneath. I would have hoped it went a little further just for watershed, but no big deal. So I'm doing a little extra trim work here to help water kind of roll off of the corner. There's a ton of, I puked a whole ton of foam in there. That'll help as well. But anyway, I just want to kind of hide the holes and make it sort of consistent and not hacked looking. But anyway, it did okay. Once I had to restain the edges, by the way, you can see a little bit of whiteness. I should have maybe stained them before I put them up. That would have been a smart thing to do. But regardless, I did it once it was up. I did a little bit of staining and made everything work. Yay, time for the ceiling fan install. So I already did the one right above the camera, so doing the second one was a lot easier. It took a little bit of disassembly and reassembly on the ground. There's our new little kitty. Look, that's our new little, we had 2 new little kitty cats. Their first time trying to venture outside. But anyway, back to the ceiling fan. So basically, just hang the fixture. Everything kind of like there's a ball on the top of the little stud that goes on the motor. Everything hangs from there. It's all remote control. Very straightforward installation, and it worked pretty easily. These are the first fans that I have that actually have snap-in blades, which made life very easy. And here's the final product from the outside. I did the ceiling. You saw me do the insulation, R30 insulation. It's already paying off. I did a thermostat, UV thermostat thing, and it definitely makes a difference. Anyway, just installed the fans. We're good to go, and we're getting the place done. Here we have a little barrier for the dogs while we were working so they don't take off, because they do that. But anyway, there you go. Yay. This was the last kind of, one of the larger projects. I still have to do the spray foam from the bottom. It's gonna have to wait for probably a month or two, just for the weather to kick in. It's really pretty today. It's about 65. It's actually almost 75. So, but the surface is still very cold, so I can't squirt it quite right. You saw me do a little bit of spray foam on the ceiling of the ceiling there. I don't want water to go into the back of that and get the insulation, because it's basically just fiberglass insulation. So hopefully that'll make it work. I did a double board over here, so the water should shed quite nicely off there. No big deal. Anyway, there you go. Thanks for watching.